An undeniable truth about history is that it's often painted with the vibrant colors of struggle, resilience, and a ceaseless quest for freedom. The story of Nigeria's journey to independence is no different. It's a tale that begins in the late 19th century, when the British Empire, with its insatiable appetite for territorial expansion, began to set its sights on the rich, diverse lands of West Africa. In 1901, Nigeria became a British protectorate, marking the beginning of a relationship that would last for over 60 years. During this time, the Nigerian people bore the brunt of oppressive colonial rule, their cultural identity and resources exploited for the empire's benefit. But as the decades rolled on, the winds of change began to blow. The Second World War had stirred a global awakening. The fight for freedom now echoed from the heart of Europe to the farthest corners of Africa. And Nigeria too heard its call. By the mid-1940s, a vibrant nationalist movement had begun to take root in Nigeria. Inspired by the promise of self-governance, men and women from all walks of life united under a common cause: the struggle for independence. The 1950s marked a turning point in this struggle. The Littleton Constitution, enacted in 1954, granted Nigeria limited self-governance, a small but significant victory for the nationalists. But the fight was far from over. In the years that followed, the nationalist movement gained momentum. A series of protests, strikes, and acts of civil disobedience swept across the country, shaking the foundations of British rule. The call for independence grew louder, and the world began to listen. The climax of this epic struggle came in 1960. After years of negotiation and political maneuvering, on the first day of October, Nigeria finally raised its flag as an independent nation. The war for Nigeria's freedom had been won not with guns or bombs, but with the indomitable spirit of its people. Yet, as we look back on this chapter of history, we must remember that the road to independence was not an easy one. It was a journey fraught with challenge and sacrifice. It was a war fought on many fronts: against oppression, against exploitation, against the denial of basic human rights. But through it all, the Nigerian people stood strong. They stood for their rights, for their freedom, and for their future. And in doing so, they shaped the course of their nation's history. Today, Nigeria stands tall as the most populous country in Africa and one of the continent's leading economies. Its journey to independence serves as a powerful testament to the resilience and determination of its people. And so, the war for Nigeria's freedom is not just a chapter in a history book. It is a story of courage and conviction, a story that continues to inspire and shape the nation today. It is a story that reminds us that freedom is not given, but earned. Through struggle, through sacrifice, and through the unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit.